Hi everyone, it's Tamara here with another card making tutorial using the gorgeous image Spring Lamb and Spring Tulips by WonderingWabbit. We're doing a collaboration today, so I wanted to make a card and a video to show how gorgeous Natalie's stamps are. I'll be doing some Copic colouring, but first I'll be making a box card. So I've grabbed out my MFT box card and a couple of pieces of yellow cardstock from my stash, and I'm going to get that all cut through my die cutting machine. So I'm just cutting out the background panel, and then I need 2 of the inserts and 2 of the side panels. So I'll get that all cut out. So I've die cut all pieces. Now I'm going to just reinforce the score lines with my bone folder. So I just gently fold everything over and then just give that a run through or run over with my bone folder. So I'll do all of the edges, all of the scored lines, and then we'll get that all glued and joined up together. So I'll just do the inserts, just 2 tabs on the end, and the same for the second. Just making sure you're folding it in line with the actual score line. I find that box cards can get a bit of a workout by the recipient, so I find actually gluing them together just makes them a lot more sturdy. So I'm just going to glue all of these edges together, and you can also either clip them together with little pegs, but I've just got some paper clips and I just like to clip that so it stays in place while I work on other parts of the box card. So you just slide that on and that just holds that in place while you're working on the other end. So we'll get some more glue down that end of that tab and then join that together, and it just lines up so easy. They come together so easily and they just create such a wow factor. So now that base is constructed and dry, I'm just going to glue on the background panel. So I find it's best to put some glue on the very back of that background panel and then attach it directly to the base. So you just want a little bit, it's up to you, you can put it down further, but I want a bigger base. So I've only put it a little bit down into that base of the card. Now we'll just do our inserts, doing it the same way. Just a little bit of glue on the ends, and then you can put it in any placement that you want, but I'm wanting this back one forward a little bit because I'm wanting a bit of room as I'll be putting a fence and some grass on this background. And again, I'm just grabbing out my paper clips to just secure them in place until they're all dry. So this can be a little bit fiddly, but stick with it and you'll make sure you get there in the end. And I've got very clumsy fingers and it's not sticking. So sometimes this is why some double-sided tape can work really well, or tape runner, but I do like my glue for making sure it's nice and secure. So we'll get the second little tab in. And I'm going to put that a little bit closer to the front, as I'm just going to have the grass and the tulips in this section. Just making sure you're lining it up so that it's even on both sides and that it's right up on that top edge. And then I'll get them secured down again with my paper clips. Slide that in there. Make sure that's in the correct spot before you put your tab on, and just slide that down. I'm wanting a nice green grass, so I'm going to be using Mowed Lawn and Rustic Wilderness for this. I'm starting off with the Mowed Lawn and then having the Rustic Wilderness down the bottom, just blending up so that the lighter part of the grass is up the top, and it just gives it a little bit of dimension when it goes on. Then I'm just going to be using Salvaged Patina. You can see that I've just grabbed the background insert just to make sure that that cardstock that I'm using will fit that. And then I'm just using my MFT cloud stencil just to get some clouds on my background panel with the Salvaged Patina. So I just dab off my ink, any excess ink on my glass mat, and then just bring that over, and that way you get a nice soft looking clouds and no harsh lines. And then we'll just set that aside to dry. I'll just pop on some music now while I do the colouring. I've just grabbed a grass die from MFT to cut out my grass borders, and then I've also grabbed the stitch background panel from the box card and just going to cut out my cloudy sky. Also, I'm going to do some die cutting of these and make two little fences. And I wanted to create a couple of extra clouds for my background panel. So I've grabbed this set from Fawn, and I'm just going to stamp out some clouds which I'm going to attach with 3D foam on the background just to give it a little bit of dimension. I do apologize, I've actually done this all off camera, but as you can see, I'm just using Memento black ink to stamp this out, as it works really well with Copics. So I'll double stamp that up. I'm just going to do some quick colouring of the clowns. I am wanting to keep most of them white, so I'm just kind of adding just a little bit of dimension with C1 and C00. And I do come in later with a bit of BG000 as well, but I did that off camera. So now I'm going to die cut out with the die cuts for the clouds, just using some purple tape to hold those down. It really works for keeping everything in place where you need it, and I do find that's really helped me using that to make sure I always cut in the right spot. And then there's a little stitch banner for your front of your box card, and that's what I'm cutting my sentiment out in, which I've already printed out. And there's multiple sentiments that come with the set, so yeah, you get lots to choose from. I've now grabbed out my box card and I'm just working out where I'm wanting to trim down my first grass panel, which I'm going to actually place on the front of the card. So I have just kind of put a small amount of pencil mark, and I'm just going to cut to the insert, but I've just realized I've done it too far over, so I'm now doing it in the right spot and just making it darker down below. I've grabbed out my tonic trimmer, and now I'm going to just trim that on the inside edge of where I've done that pencil mark. Just grab my box card and make sure that that does line up, which it does perfectly. Now the inserts are just a little bit smaller being inside the box card, so I've just measured it with the front panel, just making it that tad little small, but you can just use your ruler and measure this out. But I found this worked quite well to make sure I've got the right size, and that fits in perfectly edge to edge. So we'll grab out the other one and do that to match. I've placed some glue on the back of my cloud banner, and we'll get that attached to the back of our box card. And just make sure you just line that up so you've got that perfect little border around the outside. And then we'll attach our grass panel to the front of our box card. Yep, got the drop C's today. I'll get that glued down. I am leaving a bit of space up the top because that's where I'll be actually inserting some of the tulips, so they look like they're actually growing straight out of the grass. So that leaves a gap at the top for me just to push them down from the top. So we'll get our next grass down. So I'm just putting a little bit down the bottom where it actually attaches to that tab. So I am wanting it to be sticking up a little bit higher above where the other panel is. And then the one at the back I'll actually be putting up a little bit higher again. That way you'll be able to see the grass at each level. And I've just realized I want to actually have the fence palings or fence panels behind where the grass will be. So I'm just adding a little bit of glue on the backs of those fence panels and going to attach that directly to the front of the back insert. So I'm just squeezing that down, just trying to get that to hold, and we'll do the same for the other one. I'm actually just leaving a gap in between because that's where I'm going to place our spring lamb, so you won't actually see that opening of where that fence is. So I'm just touching that up, making sure that's lined up, and it's just have to be careful when you're moving it about that it doesn't drop off any of your elements before they have time to dry. So I'm just trying to give that a good press down with my fingers to secure that in place, and just making sure that lines up on either side. Now while those fence palings just dry, I'm just going to add the sentiment to the front of the grass strip on the front of the box card. So I'm just going to line that up with the very bottom because I want to make sure that you'll be able to see that grass growing up above where the sentiment sits. And it's great being able to have the digital sentiments because you can make it exactly the size that you want for whatever project you're doing. So now I'm just going to place this grass just over the top of the fence, but just a little bit higher than where the grass sits in front on the first insert, and that's all attached. So I've roughly lined up where I want my tulips to go, and I'm sorry it's kind of going in and out of focus there as I pull those tulips up close, and as you can see you just can slide them down in between where the grass piece is and where the actual insert goes. So I've just kind of done it in threes. So I've got the three kind of sitting separately. So two together and then one, and then two together and then one. And then I'm going to add those other two flowers just behind where the two are together. So it just works with that using your threes to just create a little bit of an odd number. And it will draw attention and the focus to the little lamb in the middle of the scene. So we'll get that final one glued down, and that just goes straight onto that background panel. Now you do have two little white squared stitch rectangle dies that go on the end, so I've just cut them out in white, but you can do any color you want, or you could add the tulips to this, but I've just left them blank just to give that a little bit of a white patch. So now I wanted just to roughly place out where my clouds will be, and I'm going to be attaching them on the back with foam tape so they look like they're floating through the sky. And I've just kind of set my lamb in there so I knew exactly where to place them on the background panel. So we'll just add the final piece of foam tape and that onto the right hand side, and then we'll get some glue on the bottom of our lamb and just on the sides, and I did put on a bit on the ear which wouldn't be attached to anything, so I'll wipe that off, and I'm just attaching the lamb to the back. And this is the finished box card for today. This little spring lamb and the spring tulips are just so beautiful, and I love how they come as a set and have all these wonderful sentiments that come with them. I hope you've enjoyed watching this tutorial. I had so much fun making this card. If you have, please hit the like button and leave a comment, and if you'd like to see any future videos, please hit the subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.